turning something from an idea into a reality can make it seem smaller. It changes from unearthly to earthly. Friends and grasshoppers, this is the Formless Podcast, episode 126 with Tyler, the superhuman, me, Dustin. And today we have the other half of All My Friends Are Warriors. We got Jacob and Sebastian, a.k.a. Cbass.
Yes, sir.
Guys, how's it going?
Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having us on. And congratulations, over 100 episodes.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's been
Big milestones.
4 years.
Wow.
4 years of every single Saturday. Well, I mean, with a couple of hits and misses here and there, but for the most part, every freaking Saturday.
Yeah, we were, Dustin and I, so we had been doing Wu Ying Dao, our art together. So it was 2021, was it?
Yeah.
We started talking. So we'd been doing, karate together for, I don't know, whatever, 6-7 years. And Dustin kept saying like, oh, I like, Joe Rogan. I listened to a lot of Joe Rogan. I listened to a lot of podcasts, and you were driving a lot for work at the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, man, I really want to do a podcast and get it going. And
that was our conversation, but the spark of that conversation came from Blaine, the guy who runs our school.
Okay.
And he was like, you guys, because at that point, there were 5 of us testing for our black belt. It was like, you guys need to think about what you're going to do to continue and make this style survive, because it's pretty small niche.
To pass
thing.
on what you've learned.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I don't want to open a school. That just sounds like a whole headache.
An ordeal.
And I've always thought about writing a book or something like that, but like that takes time and effort,
ordeal as well.
and it's a huge ordeal. Tyler makes movies, and we thought about movies,
awesome.
and then I'm like, let's do a podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. Do you know how? I don't know how to do that. Well, let's start Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got an audio recorder. Let's just plunk it on the table and start recording.
So, yeah,
That's awesome.
We did a year and a half of that with literally an audio recorder in the middle of the table, just talking.
That's freaking awesome.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's basically just like, I don't know what we're doing. Do you know what we're doing? Okay, let's go.
That's how you learn. That's how you learn.
Yeah, and then we've already jumped out of the plane, so it's too late,
Exactly.
And then then the website happened, and then social media, and we got our merchandise.
It was like, I know a friend who can, I don't know if he can edit it, but he's pretty tech savvy. I'll call him up, and he's like, yeah, I think I can do that.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, so on to you guys. So
enough of us.
No,
It's cool to hear.
So I told a story with the last guys.
Right.
That, my kids all went to school with you guys.
Right.
They're in between some of you, and but Cole and Hunter would come home from school, and they're always talking about this guy, Cbass this, Cbass that. And, we did this and we did that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, let's, I'm home. Let's go outside. Let's go do something. Nah, we're going to do that tomorrow with Cbass.
Oh gosh.
And I'm like, it's like 6 months of this stuff, right? And I'm not normally a jealous guy, but I'm like getting a little ticked. Like, what's going on here? You know, who is this guy? And then I meet you at like a parent teacher conference or back to school night or something. And I'm like, I wanted to not like you. Like I wanted to be like,
That's great.
I wanted to just not like you because my kids liked you so much, and it made me jealous. I couldn't not like you. You're a great guy, and I couldn't think of a better person to run those types of programs.
Oh, thank you,
for
man. I
kids,
appreciate that.
not just my own, but for kids. And then COVID happened, and everything kind of fell apart.
Right.
And at the time, my youngest was in kindergarten and trying to do COVID schooling through a laptop. It was just a nightmare. My wife's like, I'm going to homeschool him, and that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like this huge comedy of errors here, because I'm like, what the heck's wrong with, I'm your dad. Like, I'm supposed to be the hero in your life, and it's totally fine. It's totally cool. But it was like, my expectation and my reality were two totally separate things.
Right.
So how did that start for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually that phenomena, it's happened here and there from, I would say, not most people. Most people are generally on board. They're like, hey, thank you so much. But there is the occasional, I had a guy come out one time and challenge me to an arm wrestling match. And I'm like, what? What? It was just one dad who was like, well, my kid came home and said you were stronger than me. And I'm like, I always say dads are the strongest. I don't know where this is coming from. So he about broke my arm. And then after that, we shook hands. And I was like, huh. So that, I guess that's the trade-off too. I guess the brighter your light shines, the larger shadow you're going to cast. The more stuff I inserted myself into, like to help, whether it would be student council or, hey, we don't have a coach. We need a coach here. We're not going to have sports. Cbass, get off your butt and do something. So I did, and then a lot of good comes with that, but then there's some other stuff that I don't like this coach. He's cocky. He's this. So it is the trade-off to anything. But how it started for me was I grew up, I have a really great stepdad, and even I have to remind myself he's my stepdad because to me, he's just dad. My dad, Jake Harper, shout out. This guy came into my life, and in the beginning, I didn't necessarily appreciate him. He was always working, so we didn't have that connection. And I got really good at speaking and talking about, any sort of topics because I'm really close with my mom, right? And but as I grew older, my dad put me into football, and I had a lot of mentors. Like I've had, if my backstory, my warrior backstory, I would be the one who was trained by thousands of mentors. I just always had good people everywhere I went, and even some of the ones that didn't lead by good example, to me, I almost see them as a mentor because I learned what not to do. And I started to learn through my dad's absence, well, it's like, he's working, bud. He's
it's not like he's just gone.
He's not, exactly. And he's not a speaker like me. He'll tell you the same. And it was like getting to know him through watching him was something special to me. So I have been blessed by being able to be in situations where I teach these guys how to speak and stuff like that. But there's not for 1 second that I don't tell them to be aware of, hey, your dad, maybe he's not speaking to you like this, but that doesn't mean that he not
wouldn't
teaching
if he had the chance.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe it's on you because I'm very, very fortunate. I don't know if it was, I'm going to assume it's God who made me aware that my dad is teaching me without talking to me, because some kids, they grow up and they go, well, I didn't get told that. I'm like, you had so many examples though.
Well, and it's super easy to take things for granted when they're right in front of you.
Yeah.
And you get food on the table every night, and you have a warm house.
Oh yeah.
And a nice bed. And that's one of the things that like I try to impart on students here at school when I'm teaching. And it's like, did you have a pillow? Did you have blankets on your bed? Did you eat?
Yeah.
You have everything you need right there.
Yeah.
And don't take it for granted because it's so easy, it could be taken away like that.
And the more curious you are, the more you'll ask those questions. I'm a very curious person. So I started asking, why do I have this? And Dad, what's all the papers all over the table? Oh, they're the bills, dude. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
And it was that.
They don't just pay themselves.
Yeah. And it was like, if I'm going to grow up one day, like I want to be in a position where I can do that. So I started inserting myself around him all the time. And I would ask him the dumbest questions because I like to ask, if you tell me, something that seems pretty simple, this is how you throw the kick, I'm going to ask you really weird situations like where you could throw it, where it might not work. And you're going to answer it like, yeah, it'd be the same. Why are you asking it from that angle? I just like to know it from all different angles. And I think I'm not necessarily a fast learner. I'm a slow learner who asks a lot of questions.
I like that.
And I did that with my dad, and it prepared me. And then as I started working at the school, I've referenced this many times. I think it's quite sad that, because I started at the school at 20 years old, that I was the role model. I thought that was kind of a bummer to society. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I mean, I'm blessed. This is great to be able to help you, but
at 20 years old, do you have all the life experience?
Right. And people are going to me for guidance and stuff. And some people like that and some people don't. But I'll agree that it's sad. I think men need to be more, we have a lot of fathers who are absent. And I think that's a detriment to us. And so I think you can get mentors from all walks of life. And I think for some of the people that don't think they have a mentor, they actually might have a mentor. They're just, like you said, not paying attention or not being curious. So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what's your story here, Jacob?
Okay, so I've actually known Cbass since I was about 5th grade, but not from going to school there. I used to go to the rival school to their school. I went to IGO, which is the rival school.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, later, after I think 2 years, I moved to the school in 6th grade, and I got to meet Cbass, Devin, Jaden, all of them, and then I kind of just I kind of was there, and then I was just in. I just went
inserted
right in.
yourself into that group.
Yeah, I was just put into so many places that helped me grow, and after like a while of being there and learning stuff that they learned, Tomcats, martial arts, stuff like that, I was kind of just
back up. Tomcats?
Oh yeah, Tomcats. Sorry, it's our financial literacy club where we learn about the stock market, how to invest, stuff like that. And after doing that for a while, I was kind of given the option to join the podcast. And at that time, I didn't really think of what it would truly become, but I was like, sure. I mean, why not? I didn't really see the point of it, but now I'm really grateful that I had that instinct to just say yes. Why not? It's something else that it'll help you in the future. So that's kind of my story. Is I was just kind of joined. I was kind of put in the school, and then it was just a normal school, but it turned out to not be that.
Now, Igo's a little way away. Did you move, or was that because of the car fire, or?
So my parents are split up, and my dad lives in Igo, and my mom lives in town.
Okay.
So then it was kind of when I was mainly with my dad, because that time before I was with my mom, I was in Igo, so I went to school there. And then they went half, so then they kind of had to be like, okay, you went to Igo for a few years, we're going to try this school. And it came out to be a blessing in disguise.
Right on.
Yeah. But I'm really thankful for what these guys have done for me. I mean, it's truly a blessing, and I don't know really how to put it in words, but they've just helped me in so many ways.
That's reciprocal, man.
Yeah.
This guy, I started coaching. I took the boys, Jaden and Devin, out to Central Valley football, and I convinced their parents it'd be really good for them. And I said, well, maybe go out to CV. That's where I came from. We used to have a really good team because of some really good coaches, and they haven't had a lot of luck lately. And so I'm like, maybe you can help that. And I think it's good for you if you go out there and you lose, actually. I think it'd be good to go out there and lose and see what it takes to try to win when it's a lot of that pressure's on you. So we get them out there, and I met this Coach Matt. He's a good friend of mine now, and he was saying, Cbass, if you could get any guys, we just need heartbeats, dude. We got no guys out here, bro. And I look at Jacob, and Jacob was 11 years old, and these are the 14-year-old boys. And I said, hey, Jacob, you used to play at West Valley, you're a little stud? And he goes, yeah. Or, yeah. So I bring him out there, and Coach Matt goes, who's this? And I go, this is your heartbeat. And he shakes his hand. How old are you, son? 11. And he looked at me and goes, Cbass, you son of a bitch, what are you doing? And I was like, hey, give him a chance.
Give him a shot.
He's a warrior. He trains with us. And then what really made, it was the Willows game. And we were on kickoff, and his coach's kid was feeling tired and wasn't really running. He's like, Ian, you got to run more. And so I said, Ian, I framed it like this. Hey, do you want to give Jacob a chance? That's how I could get him out. And so he goes, yeah, I'll give him a chance. And I said, all right, Jacob, I put my neck out there for you. You go make this play. And he goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 11. Who's that kid? Why is Jacob out on the field? And I'm like, give him a chance, coach. He goes, Cbass, you're scaring the hell out of me. And Jacob runs down there. Their 8th grade stud gets the ball, and this 11-year-old goes over there, puts helmet on his chest, sticks him, and everyone freaks out. And then Jacob just became what he is now, which is this warrior that's showing it don't matter the age. He plays the 3-on-3 basketball tournament with the high schoolers, 8th grade, puts up buckets on them. Grapples with me, and I'm like, okay, actually, my neck is sore now, dude. You're killing me, man.
Giving you a run for your money.
Oh yeah, he's an absolute savage, and it's just because he's willing to fail and he's willing to have people laugh, and that's what I respect most about Jacob.
That's the hardest part, I think, for a lot of people is having people potential, that potential to have somebody laugh at you.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, beat them to the punch.
Oh, yeah.
Laugh at yourself first. And then nobody's got anything on you.
Yeah. And I think a part of that is there's going to be people who are going to laugh at you for doing literally nothing. There's this quote by Aristotle, and it says, if you don't want to be criticized, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. So I kind of carry that along with me everywhere I go, because I get put in these positions where I get to talk in front of people, and I just kind of think of if I mess up any little thing, they're gonna laugh. Like people could be laughing watching this right now
Yep,
after it's posted.
absolutely.
So I kind of think of it as like, no matter what I'm doing, I'm gonna get laughed at. I'm gonna get hated on. So why not get hated on, get laughed at while doing a virtuous thing?
Our first episode that we put out, we were like, brand new, don't know what we're doing kind of thing. And our first comment on that first episode is, "This is effing garbage. Why do people put stuff out?" And it was like, I just replied back, "Well, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like put out your own podcast or something.
Usually those people that are laughing at you, they're not doing anything.
No.
They're the ones sitting on the sidelines and they're just eating their popcorn and drinking their soda and getting bigger.
It's not the critic who counts.
man in the arena.
Man in the arena.
Exactly.
That's one of my favorite speeches.
Oh yeah, YouTube. I'm on that all the time, crying over it.
Yeah,
Love it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
You've heard that one?
No.
It's
what
not
is
the
it?
man in the arena. It's the man in the ring who counts.
Yeah.
It's this long speech. It's by Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I did see
I think
that
I shared
recently.
that.
Yep.
I think I've shared it with you.
I think you
before.
did. Yeah. Yes. So, but I mean, you can just see that, like you can just see like one of the, in our art on your way to black belt, we have these gates that you have to pass through, and they're kind of like not tests, but they're called gates. They're literally called gates.
It's like the process of learning.
Yeah, the process of learning. And I think it's the second gate, right? The dragon of fools and the humble.
You're putting me on the spot, but go ahead.
Yeah, there's one gate you have to pass through. That's you have to be willing to look like a fool in front of people. And you've got the dragon that's in front of you. That's the dragon of fools. And we don't want to get in front of people and talk and look, oh, they're going to laugh at us, whatever, we're going to mess up. But then how you defeat that dragon of fools is you become the humble warrior who is willing to go do that stuff and get laughed at. And so what? You get laughed at, what? They laugh? Oh, then what?
Yeah. There's part of that that's also very Bruce Lee-esque. It's he said it was very difficult to express yourself truly. He says it's easy and he says something along the lines of, I can put on a show and act cocky.
I can be cocky and flashy,
But to truly express myself, now that's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
So it goes right along with that.
Yeah. He was that from Tao of Jeet Kune Do, or was that just one of his quotes?
It's one of his quotes.
It was in an interview.
Yeah, it was an interview, one of his old school interviews.
The Dick Cavett show from like
the black and white interviews.
Yeah.
He talks about, you've read Tao of Jeet Kune Do, you guys have?
I do. I have it, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously we have. He talks about expressing himself, a lot in that, and how your martial art, is an expression of yourself.
Yes.
And so anyways, that was just cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. One more thing to add on to that.
Yeah, go.
When you talk about going up and talking in front of people, and what is it called, the dragon of fools. Yeah, the dragon of fools. One thing that you can kind of think about is you shouldn't be in competition with anyone else but yourself. You should only be in competition and trying to be better than the person you were yesterday. So by putting yourself in that situation, will it make you a better person than you were yesterday? You shouldn't care about any other thing other than that.
Right.
That's awesome. Hard to remember sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment, but it's an awesome position to be in.
1000%.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was going to ask, so this is mainly a martial arts focused podcast, but it's also kind of morphed and in on the way to 120 whatever episodes that we've done. We've done a little bit of everything, but bringing it back to martial arts for a minute, what's your history, Sebastian, in martial arts?
So my history in martial arts was never through a gym or a dojo. There was a moment where I had a chance. It was kind of like I came up in the trailer park, didn't have a lot of money, and then would go to Papa's, and my mom would say, "Hey, her dad, and when you go to Papa's, tell them you gotta watch stuff that's appropriate. Don't be watching too much violence." And
No,
never happened. I was obsessed with Bruce Lee as a kid because my papa always had Bruce Lee on. And then when you watch, and Jackie Chan. So when we're watching Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, there's also this metaphysical thing you learn. There's these invisible rules like honor, honor, perseverance, grit. You just learn all these different things. And so I got really obsessed with that. And I didn't really care too much about it for competition, but I'm the oldest out of all my cousins, so of course there's a lot of grappling and fighting going on. And so it's always like, I have to be, and I always want to wrestle my dad, and dad doesn't want to wrestle me anymore. So it's like, I always wanted to be grappling, wrestling, striking. I would go on YouTube when I was in high school, because he's only a couple years older than me. Shane Faison with Fight Tips. I would go watch his stuff, and basically YouTubed my academy to my way up, and got into high school football. And from there, I needed to grapple all those guys and grapple all the wrestlers. And for a little while, when it was off season, so we wouldn't get kicked off the team, we had a little fight club and in the varsity locker room. And what I noticed is I started doing pretty well. As long as there was no time limit, I would usually win, because a lot of the guys were bigger than me. But if there was no time limit, like I'd just be like, hey, no time limit, stay off the crotch, but no rules, no biting, other than that, no rules. And let's just see who wins. And after like 30 minutes, I'd get on top of my lineman friend and finish him. And
does he just gas out?
They just gas out, or they would squeeze you really hard, but there's a gap in there. There's not much technique. And then I started working on the bag, and I developed an ability to kick pretty well. And then I would go meet up with like some of the martial artists who are brown belts or black belts through Scott Halsey. And what's actually funny about that is, when I was in grade school, I didn't have the money for Halsey's, but my friends did. And so then I would grapple those guys and beat them. And then when I got, my cousin Tazi was here right outside, and he went to Halsey's, and I had to babysit him and watch him. And then I'd grapple Taz and kick his butt. So I was always like, and I always respected that. And when I would go in and watch the classes, I really respected and watch the technique, and then go practice at home, or go use my cousins as sparring dummies. And then
hey, I watched this thing on YouTube. Let's try it out.
Yeah.
Everything from Mortal Kombat, besides the flaming punches, like, we can do, And so we got to a point where at the school, I started training what I just called, general martial arts, general self-defense. I'll teach you how to sprawl, to stay on your feet, some general striking, some kicks, things like that. Question mark kick has become a staple in our... you hit a question mark kick, and then people go, oh, you must be good. And it's not necessarily the case, but we would hit question mark kicks and throw them like they're jabs. And at a certain point, I trained with this guy at Ninja Coalition, because I work out at Ninja Coalition as well.
Okay.
And I got a connection there through training the kids on the playground. So you would train them and give them little obstacle courses on the monkey bars and stuff, do a lot of calisthenics. And so I got an opportunity to work out at Ninja Coalition. One of the guys there was a Halsey guy, trained with him. And then after training with him, he was like, dude, you could totally take your students to a tournament. And I'm like, I don't know. I've never been really about that, and I don't want to be disrespectful. And he's like, I don't know, you should try it. And so then I love like the idea of Karate Kid. Like, I'm obsessed with those. So I'm like,
it's a great story.
This would be pretty cool. And I started training him. I said, hey, I had a student named Ron, and Ron said, could we ever do a karate tournament? And I had turned him down before, because he was obsessed with Cobra Kai as well. And I said, no, okay, we're not going to ever do that. I don't know if there's a respectful way to go about that. I don't know how I would do it. I don't have my own dojo. Like, we train in the classroom, like. And once I got kind of a green light, because someone said, oh, this is how it happened. The guy said, yeah, I was at the tournament, and I fought this Taekwondo guy. And I was like, whoa, wait, it's not just karate? And he went, no, not necessarily. You just can't grapple. And I'm like, wait, hold on. So if we just followed your guys' rules, could we do it? And he said, yeah. And I went, no way. Okay, let's hold on. We're going to need Halsey's permission. So I went in with Devin, and that dude's just full of grace and respect. And, he didn't know me, but I'd known him my whole life.
Yeah.
And I went in, and he said, well, what martial art do you practice? And I said, well, it's just general martial arts. Just kept it like that. And I said, I know we're not like legit, we don't have our own dojo. We practice in a school. And he goes, well, legit's kind of gray. And I was like, so true.
For sure.
And so we got the opportunity. I went out to the person who made my Letterman jacket in football. And she was like, of course I remember you. Yes. What do you need? And I said, well, maybe like these kind of Street Fighter inspired jackets. And she goes, oh yeah, totally. And so we made our little, our gis. Like I said, my mom goes, oh, you need belts. And I'm like, I just kind of created a philosophy behind mixed martial arts I call the elemental arts. And that's because I was heavily influenced by Miyamoto Musashi as a kid since 5th grade. So I said, let's do the elemental arts, and I'll have a lot of jiu-jitsu based stuff in water. and and then when it comes to the feet, we'll roll a lot of our punches, and then we'll have a lot of distance management in air, a lot of Muay Thai and fire, and then some of the more rooted stuff will be in earth. And I'll bring in a wrestler to help us out. I'm more of a grappler than a wrestler, and we kind of developed this system that was ever changing. Because one of Bruce Lee's biggest regrets is he named it and gave it a style. So when people say, "What's your martial art?" I'm like, "Well, it's more of a philosophy." Because I could have another sensei come in, kick my butt, and I'll be like, "Let's add this to it." Yeah. You know, that's the important thing, is we're not going to ever be stuck in Cbass's style. Like, if you start hitting me with something that's working, keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so our fighters, you do see bits of my style in it, but then they have something that's completely unique in their own, which is super important. Bruce Lee talked about, if you got two karate guys that fight each other and they're twin brothers, they're going to fight differently.
Yeah.
Right? To truly express themselves.
Yeah.
So I really started pushing that. And then we, to figure out a belt situation, I said, well, what about like old school samurais just kind of had a rope? And so we got a rope and we tied the rope around, and that was also cool because you didn't know who our black belt was, it's like, we're all equal. Anyone could sleep the other one at any point if you make a mistake. So, and not to say I'm against the idea of colored belts. I think that's super cool. That's why I respect it so much. But that's also why I didn't do it, because of respect. It was like, no, we'll do our own thing. And then we did the tournament. We had a lot of success.
Was it one tournament you guys went to, or a couple?
4 tournaments.
Okay.
And we had a lot of success there. We swept first, second, third with our older guys. And some of the guys who didn't get first, second, third were Jaden's little brother was, "Hey, you're hitting too hard, bud." So it was more of like, it was a very interesting thing. I kind of feel like the warrior in a garden, where it was like, okay, we have to adapt to point fighting. But I think it was easier to adapt to that than the other way around, than the latter. And so through that, I had a lot of parents from all other places, all other dojos come up to us and, "Well, where are you located?" I'm like, "At the school." You know, I'm like, "Okay, well, that's going to be difficult to swing." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm not like in the recruiting business. And so I said, I was building a spot at my own place. And I started having Jaden ask and Devin ask, "Well, we could just build a gym there." And I'm like, "That's kind of my thing. But yeah, we could Miyagi it. I could use the help and the labor, and your parents aren't going to go for this." And I talked to Jaden's grandparents, and they're, you know, Jaden would go work for me and build stuff with me. And then they would shake, "Man, thank you so much for what you're doing for him." I'm like, "We just like put a bunch of rebar in and built a wall, like a retaining wall. Thank you." and I started going to my dad and telling my dad, like, why I'm so blessed. I had a Home Depot worker come drop off some stuff, and I was late, so he had a big truck, and because we're building a gym out there on my property.
Oh wow.
And like building a whole on arena and stuff.
Dang.
And
that's cool.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's a 3-year endeavor.
I gotta check this out.
Yeah, you'll have to. And the guy, I came out late. He was like there at like 6 a.m, and he had the big old truck, and he couldn't see where my house was. I came out, "Oh, I'm so sorry. And he goes, "You dude, just, hey, I'm here. I almost turned it around, man. I'm so sorry about that." And then as he started unloading it, I started helping him. And then he goes, "So what are you doing with this stuff anyway?" And I told him what I'm telling you guys now. And it turned into him being like, "Dude, you know what? Here, I want you to have this. Here's $100. I think what you're doing is great." And I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
He's like, "I really believe in what you're doing, and I got contractors who can help you out." And I'm like, "No, you don't have to do that for me." And so a lot of the love and grace I've been getting, I struggle with it sometimes. I'm like, I'm not trying. It's just happening.
Yeah, I'm not standing there with my hand out.
No, and I talk to my dad about it, and I count my blessings all the time. My mom always says, "Count your blessings." I'm always counting my blessings. And my dad's like, "Well, you build something, people will come. You know, you build something that people believe in, they'll jump on board." And I said, "I'm living like the greatest dream then," because, you know, when I met Jacob, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to tell this kid, hey, I don't think that's good character. Don't do that. He's probably not going to like me." And then the next day he's like, "Hey, Cbass, thanks for what you did." I'm like, "I just yelled at you." Like, I think it was, I think one of the learning curves with you was, he's a stud athlete, but we just won a football game. You remember this?
Yeah.
We won a football game, a flag football game. And as he's walking away, some kid said something to him, and you said something like, "Oh yeah, whatever, dude." Like, you said something very tame.
Something like that.
And I said, "Hey, none of that." And I think your parents were even looking at me like, "Whoa."
Yeah, because I wasn't even in the wrong.
You weren't even fully in the wrong, but you weren't fully in the right.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Hey, we don't do that." And the next day I'm thinking he's probably gonna think I'm lame. And then he's like, So I was thinking about that thing. You said, I want to learn more. And I'm like, God, thank you, God. Like, whatever you're working with me, like, keep doing your magic, God, because it's not me. You're not agreeing with me. If I say something that's objectively true, and that's God's work. That's not my opinion. So I've just been really blessed to be able to help people find that for themselves. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
So you're continuing. So you want to expand then, like this philosophy that you have, right? You call it the philosophy, and so you're building on your property. You're building a gym. You're building a ring. It sounds like, and those two things, and maybe like some training courses or something, and
something like that. And I'm gonna keep it small. You know, initially I thought. I had a lot of people behind me going, open up a gym, open up a dojo. Like, look what you just did. You could do this. You just ran 4 tournaments. And I was like, nah, that's not for me. I mean, who knows down the road? I'd never say no. But like you said, it's a huge endeavor. Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of passions that I want to follow. And so it'll be open to people, but it's not going to be a like a huge thing. If someone wants to come in and learn good things or train, whether they're a dad, whether it's Jacob, whoever it is, and I know them and they're a good person and they want to just be good and virtuous. I don't want to just train fighters, right?
That's always the risk because you get people in that just want to hurt people, and that's not the idea.
Right, exactly. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
You can't learn one part. You have to learn both parts. You can't, I mean, you could be a good person, but you want to have that part of like being able to, you know, protect yourself and protect others, but you don't want to be able to just do that, you know, be this really violent person and then not pair it with being a good person and only using it when it's needed.
Yin and yang. You got to have it under control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right on.
that's very cool.
I like it.
So, so you have this philosophy, right? I don't know what else you would call it. You call it the philosophy.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it's mine. Like, the more and more I've gone throughout life, I reject the ownership of it because it's not. Like, dude, if I say something Aristotle said, I'm not going to bottle that up like, oh, Cbass said that. That's his. Or if I get something from a passage of the Bible and I'm like, I got the book of just Proverbs for the Bible. It's like a little Proverbs book. So if I'm living by that, it's more of living in accordance with nature. Right? So it's not my philosophy. None of it is. Miyamoto Musashi, that's not mine. And it's not even his. It's just living in accordance with nature, right? It's our awareness of what is objectively true and to be good. And I believe that there is, like if I push Jacob and he's standing with his 2 legs in like this, he's going to fall over. If he widens his stance, he won't fall over. That's a physical law, right? Then there's a metaphysical law, which means, and I believe metaphysically, honor is not just some social construct. I believe there are metaphysical components to it. I believe to be virtuous is to be in accordance with our Creator. That's what I believe. And I'm not going to get into explaining why I believe that's true, but I think it wouldn't be very hard for you to realize, like, there's rules to love. I think you love your kids, and I don't think that's just territorial. I think it's more than just animalistic. I think there are invisible laws that are happening, and I just try to follow those the best I can. And if I've ever been wrong on those, I'm wrong. It's not mine. I don't own it. I'm just trying to live in accordance with it. So, yeah.
So there's a constant influx and outflux of students coming in, right, to train with you? Like you're still training students? Like,
yeah, 1,000% at the school. Because my gym's not ready yet. No.
But when it is ready, then
I'll totally for people who are in need or want that, and you know, and whether I got some adults who want to join too, and some are just there. They want some general fitness. Mr. Brown is one of those guys. He wanted to work there. And
so, how did you get started at the school?
I got started at the school because my mom worked there.
Okay.
And I was working. I got out of football. I went to Shasta College. And I kind of was like, I don't know what I really want to do. I know I want to write books and things like that, like fantasy novels and stuff like that. And maybe I'll have more time to write when I go to the school. And that was definitely wrong because now all this. But I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's pencils there. There's paper. Like, heck, if I get my own desk, I could just write my book, dude. And 9 years later, like it turned into, hey, we need a coach. And okay, I'll help with that. And coach there. And, then all these people complaining about, well, we don't learn anything about finances. And around that time, the reason we have a financial club is, kind of like you guys were saying, you just wanted to get started at something. I was like, well, maybe I'll get started in the stock market and stuff like that. And even saying that just sounds like, and I could hear how it sounded. And But if I'm laying awake and I can't go to bed, I might as well watch this guy's YouTube video.
Right.
So I watched his stuff and learned how to get, a good credit score, learn how to save, be more disciplined. And they're all metaphysical rules that apply to martial arts. You see the way broadly, you can see it in all things.
Mm-hmm.
And basically I made over $230,000 in the stock market working at a school job that you could guess what I get paid. It's not good. And
excuse me, back up a little bit.
So I made around $230,000 through using crypto on like Robinhood.
No kidding.
Dogecoin. I bought it when it was like less than a penny.
And it rocketed up to what, 80 cents or something?
At one point, yeah. Now it's not doing so well. But the point is...
No, I bought it on the wrong end.
So there's that mindset of like, oh, it's not good if it's not popular, right? And so I was buying it when it was not popular, luckily. And then after learning that, it was like, hold up, I can't gatekeep this. I need to like not tell anyone to do it, but I need to at least show you like, hey, you can. And so then taught all these guys, and even if they're not investing in crypto or the stock market, like I think you're a little more mindful of budgeting and things like that. And I feel good about teaching or showing what I've learned from money because of the philosophy background, because of the, hey, money's not everything. So I also lost like over $100,000 and didn't miss a single day of work. And that's life-changing money for me, right? I didn't miss
that's life-changing money for a lot of people.
Right. I didn't miss a single day of work. I complained about it, and I mitigated.
So you're human.
I mitigated that complaint and said, I told my dad, because I was pissed, and I'm like, but you know what though? Like this makes me a better teacher of it now. So I've said that several times. You're like, you're coping, Cbass. I'm like, of course I am.
Well, yeah, you're coping, but
but it's real.
But you have to make mistakes.
Yeah.
If you don't make mistakes, you don't know what's wrong.
Exactly. And what if I would have, if I never would have made a mistake? What if I would have made millions and then I would have been a bad person? Who knows if it would have corrupted me? So I'm like, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, whether it is in accordance with your plan or not.
Yeah.
So you got to just embrace it.
There's many times when I'm like, why did I go through all that? And then after the fact, sometimes years later, I've slowly learned that like, oh, I had to go through all that.
It's happening for you.
To do this. Yeah.
1,000%.
So for martial arts, so like you talked about in that book, Mastery, Robert Greene's Mastery. I don't know if you've read it.
I've not read it. I'm not familiar.
I've not read it. I've talked to you about getting into it.
So I listened to, I don't know, half of it or part of it. And he talks about how there's like many paths to mastery, right? Mm-hmm. And so one path to mastery is like what we do here with our martial arts. There's a guy who has a school, like you go to Cbass, Jacob, and then you learn from somebody that has the knowledge. And then our teacher learned from his teacher. It's up on the wall. And then his teacher learned from a teacher, and then his teacher learned from the teachers and the grandmaster, and all the way up. Our grandmaster of Wu Ying Dao, by the way, up on the wall, Sijo Bruce Terrell, he actually trained with Bruce Lee.
I looked that up.
Yeah.
I did my research on you guys.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So he did, and we're going to have him on the podcast at some point. So it's been a challenge. Well, we're going to make it happen.
We're going to make it happen. So this school started in Portland.
Well, let me finish.
Sorry.
That's good.
I'll shut up.
Anyways, because you like Bruce Lee and everything. So we have this very, student teacher, and that's the traditional proven way of like, okay, that's how you get to mastery. Is you've got and you've got all those knowledge. You're essentially standing on the shoulders of giants. You guys have probably heard that quote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but then another way of mastery that he talked about is that I think he talked about James Cameron was one, and James Cameron, as far as I know, I mean, he's got a movie.
The director,
the director, the Avatar movies, Titanic, Terminator 2, Aliens, True Lies, all these great films, right? He didn't have, from what I understand, he talked about James Cameron, and he didn't have a specific one mentor. He learned from like bits and pieces from everybody, and he got to mastery that way. Now it sounds like your journey has been more that way. Yeah. My question for you is, so you had, like you said, 1,000 mentors.
It felt like that. Yeah.
It felt like that. Okay. who do you go to? Like, is it your dad? Like, is your dad kind of like
my main guy?
Your main guy, or like say for martial arts, like who do you go that looks at you and says, you know, hey, Cbass, this is your technique. Like for us, we have our teacher and then our teacher's teacher and our teacher's teacher's teacher who will look at us and they'll show up and they'll be like, oh, when you do this technique, every time you maybe like you shuffle your front foot a little bit and then you throw a certain punch. Like, and I had David Swope, one of the black belts we tested with. He said one time he pulled me aside and he's like Tyler, he's like, every time that you go to throw an uppercut, you chamber it and you have your hand here. And he's like, you should just be firing it from where your hand is. And he's like, so we have that. So like when you talked about doing like wrestling, bringing in another coach, is that how you do? Like you bring in other people that kind of like learn, like look at you and somebody like you
bounce things off of.
Bounce things off of.
There's not one guy I go to. Like as far as martial arts go, I would say, because if it comes to martial arts in my family, if we're talking martial prowess, they would all, hey, yeah, Cbass has got us, you know. Philosophically, it'd be my papa, the guy who got me onto Bruce Lee. You know, he's teaching me nunchucks and the philosophy of stuff.
Yeah.
He definitely taught me some stuff when I was young, but as a complete martial artist, it's definitely me and the family. But I think I actually, because I don't have that one guy, it's sparring partners. You'll find out real quickly when you pressure test your stuff if it works or not.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of hesitancies. Like I have a lot of chinks in the armor that I'm very, very transparent about. Like, there's a quote by Bruce Lee I really like, and he says, you know, Bruce, are you really that good? And he goes, if I tell you I'm good, probably, you'll say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know I'm lying. So I like that quote a lot, because when people start to ask me about my martial arts, I'm like, you're not going to like my answer. But the truth is, I feel like I'm an adept martial artist who has a lot of chinks that he's got to get fixed in his armor. I have hesitancy to keep my arms down too much, and so I really ping things around different sparring partners, and every sparring partner is different. So I found out I wasn't a good wrestler when I got taken down by a really good wrestler. You know, I'm like,
that was humbling.
Yeah. Super good at wrestling. Like in the grappling department, I definitely had him, but his name's Coach Jake, and he worked at Ninja Collision, and he was a really good top level, like high school wrestler. And he just had a different level to his shot where I stuffed it and then he would kind of twist around and take me down effortlessly. I'm like, that's not good. And so that's a fluke. Did it again.
Yeah.
And then I would work with him on grappling and striking and just talking. So it's just really like picking the brains of other martial artists. And then I watch, like, my entire feed is, hey guys, Shane Faison with Fight Tips here. So this is a hesitancy that, you know, gets people hurt. And I'm like, oh, I do that. You know, it's like a lot of that. And it's like, oh, I did that and I got away with it one day, but someone else wouldn't. So I'm very just aware, and I just try to spotlight the things, but I don't have one necessarily master splinter. And maybe that's why
that's a good way to put it.
You have me now is because of my longing. I wish I had that, you know. I'm glad everything happened the way it did, but I mean, I wish I would have had, you know, Papa or Dad, you know, in some sense, take that on. So part of my struggle is like wishing I had that one mentor, right? But then the other part is like, no, you had to have the wisdom to pull what you needed, take what's good, discard what's bad. And I told my dad one time, because he was saying, well, you know, I wish I, you know, had more in common, like the martial arts. And I said, Dad, you've given me everything I need. You showed me what it was to be a good man. You don't need to be a martial artist or a financial guy. Like, so when I say I wish I had that, I'm actually very content with everything.
But we always want what we don't have.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Grass is always greener on the other side.
1,000%. Yeah.
I don't think there's any wrong way to do things, as long as you don't end up in prison or dead.
There you go.
But however you learn, that's how you learn. And what you do with it is what counts.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? So the fact that you've learned anything and have moved that along, I think that's the essence of martial arts. You've spread that joy. You've spread that instruction. You take it in however you take it in, whether it's from a book or YouTube or another instructor.
Yeah. 1,000%. Yeah.
it doesn't really matter where you start or how you start. There's many different ways to the top of the mountain. As long as you reach there and as long as you get there, it doesn't matter if you came from, a really good family, a really bad family. It doesn't matter if you came from a martial arts background or
It's
if
what you do
didn't.
with it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't matter how long it takes either. Just
Exactly.
keep moving.
That's right.
So do you guys, I remember you guys from the tournaments. Like there was one tournament, I was probably a judge. And, like being on the other side, like you guys were, your own little group and you probably didn't know very many people there.
No.
And at that point, when I saw you guys, I had been doing those tournaments, I don't know, probably 5-7 years, something like that, off and on for 5 or 7 years. Had my black belt at the time, and then once you get into, I think they have it at generally with all the different arts. When you get to red belt, then you start being a judge. Well, I was a judge when you guys were there, and you guys showed up, and you guys had, it almost looked like burlap geese, or like what was the cloth you had? It was
maybe a heavy cotton or something.
Yeah,
and it was like a distressed black because we dyed them ourselves.
Yeah,
I dyed all those geese.
Very
Yeah,
distinct.
took a lot of time.
Very distinct, and I remember the rope. I remember because we're all like kind of whispering to each other, like who are these guys? They got ropes for belts, but it was so out there. It was cool, right? Like I was like, okay. And then you guys got in there, and I very distinctly remember like your guys were very much holding your own, and doing well. And it was like, okay, like, doesn't matter what they're wearing. Like it's now they're actually holding their own and placing. 100%. So that was pretty cool. But we're all just like, us instructors are like, who are these guys? Know what I'm saying? Like, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's always good to get fresh blood.
Yeah, fresh blood, exactly.
And I think it's kind of the small niche hobby or activity where you get the same people in and out every time, and then it's like, oh, new guys come in. It's like, oh wait, who's this? I don't know them,
Yeah.
We had it was very interesting. I felt like, when we went in, there was a bit of like a Bruce Lee, he honored and respected tradition, but he wasn't afraid to question it. Mm-hmm. And that was something that was cool. And I said, as long as we, like, you're going to get some looks, you're going to get some people who may be upset with the end result. But as long as we're shaking hands, as long as we're not throwing fits. As long as you're
good sportsman. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was our biggest thing. And I think through pressure testing, because we don't heavy spar all the time, we would have no brains, but through that actually helps us with our respect, because it's harder to rattle Jacob than it is maybe another 8th grader. Mm-hmm. Other 8th graders in basketball, they get touched and now they want to kill you at the end of the game. But Jacob's like, you just karate chop my throat. I'm upset about it, but I'm going to shake your hand. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was all that pressure testing that I think made us be able to adapt to it so well.
Right on. Right on. Well, what's the plans for the future for you, man?
I mean, the next few years, going into high school, because I'm an 8th grader right now, going into high school, I want to, stay consistent with what we're doing right now, with podcasts and stuff, and keep that going as long as I can. But, in the future, because I think eventually that might come to a stop once everyone gets jobs. It's going to become pretty hectic.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's going to come hard. But I think I want to go as far as I can in sports. I'm a big football and basketball player, so I want that to carry me throughout as far as I can. But if that doesn't work, my family is really big in the electrical field, so that's where I would go if something wasn't to work out like sports. My grandpa owns an electric business, but that's not the one my family works for. My uncle is
electricians.
Yeah, he's an electrician.
Okay.
My dad was, so are my cousins. So my family's really big on that. So I'd really look forward to going into that and carrying on that tradition of going into that field. But
yeah,
I think I just got to go where life will take me. I don't really have a set plan and I got to do this, I got to do that. But I think I'll just go with the flow for a little bit and see how that goes.
Right on.
Yeah.
You definitely want to have some sort of, I'm going this direction. Otherwise you're like a leaf that's blown over here by life. Then
that was me.
Yeah. But at the other time, but if you're like, no, I've got to go this direction and you're iron about that, then that's the other extreme.
Yeah, that's the part that I have a goal that I want to follow, and but I have to have a little bit of leadway with that and be like, okay, maybe this is my goal, but will it get me to where I want to be? Then I might have to go with that. So other than that, there's not really like a stuff that I like, really looking into right now.
Yeah. Well, what about you? What's your future plans?
Oh gosh, I have so many. Dude, there's so many, and they're gonna sound random, but maybe there's some underlying metaphysical thing that they all relate. But so I will be fighting at Wind River at some point. That's something really big. My cousin, we're kind of stockpiling ideas for what my fight camp's gonna be, opponents and things like that. So that's something I'm preparing for. I would have wanted to do it sooner, but I really want my gym to be set so I can bring in sparring partners and kind of just train at my gym. Of course, I'll probably go to other dojos to get some work in and stuff. Mm-hmm. But that's something I have. I am really hoping that'll be a 2026.
We would love to have you again on the podcast after that to talk about that experience.
And I will totally do that.
Okay.
So put that on the list as well then.
You got it, man.
That's awesome. Finishing the gym, because it would have probably already been done, but then we started the whole podcast thing, which, as you guys know, is not...
It's not a fly-by-night kind of gig.
Simply just...
No. I mean, you do.
Yeah,
you do. You
you
say... I'm going to start a podcast. And then you're like, great, what's next?
Yeah. Learning something new every day or every time something fails.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
gosh.
Making lots of mistakes.
Yes, 1,000%. So, and then as far as podcast goes, continue the podcast as long as the boys are up for it. And then if you guys ever were too busy, then I'll talk to my cousin Taz and we'll see if we want to continue it. If not, no matter what, we feel like we've already won.
Yeah.
We feel like if we continued for 1,000 years, we feel great. If we stop today, we feel great.
Yeah.
That's how we feel. We don't feel any pressure to continue. We don't feel any pressure to stop. We just feel really good about it. So I would like to continue that. And then I'm looking into jobs at like Whiskey Town. So I just want to do change up my career path, do more outdoor stuff. I'll still always be training and mentoring in some sense, but I like to be outside, dude. I really like to be outside. Even when I'm at the school, I'm like, can we get outside, man? So I like to be outside, running chainsaws and things like that.
We're going to come out there and see you in the woods, and you're going to be like standing on a stump that you cut, balancing.
Wing Chun
like,
dummies out of the trees. Yeah.
That's
exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably, if you ask what I'm doing, I love building things. Like everything we do is straight carpentry or building, and then there's welding I know nothing about and I want to learn about that. So just always learning how to build and things like that. Always doing projects and DIY stuff. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Swinging that question back to you guys, do you guys have any, stuff going on that you're aiming for?
Oh, dude. So many things. I'll let you handle that one.
Well, we
first.
definitely want to keep. I mean, we're committed to this podcast so hard. I mean, we're at 126.
It's a marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome.
we want to grow that, and we want to start traveling with the podcast. Do a lot more Zoom.
Yeah. We've done a few Zoom internet over the, and
We just did one.
they're great. The technology's there. It's awesome, but it's not the same as sitting across the table from somebody. And I keep threatening that because school started in the early 60s, the style. And I met a bunch of them last March. I took my oldest hunter up. We went to a seminar, and all these guys come out of the woodwork and they're like, yeah, I used to train and blah, blah, blah from, and they're just telling all these stories. And I'm like, give me your number, find me on Facebook.
Yes.
I'm coming back up. And I was so excited. I was like, next month I'm coming up. Well, then I had an issue with my job situation. And then I'm like, well, I can't come up this month because I got to pay the mortgage and figure out that. So that was last March. And so that's the big goal. We're going to get up to Portland. We're going to wrangle some people up and talk to them and do a couple episodes. We want to make a documentary.
Yeah. That'd be super cool.
We want to do a lot of that. Our ambitions are huge. Our funding is minute.
Still.
So it's
right there with you, brother.
Figuring all of that stuff out is the puzzle pieces are there. We just got to kind of figure out how they get together.
1000%.
You know, and it's funny that the Formless Pod, right? The Formless Podcast, our art, Wu Ying Dao, means no form way, or the formless way, the invisible way. And it was definitely influenced. I'm pretty sure Cjo, Bruce Terrell, talked about it. It was influenced by Bruce Lee at the time, because a lot of the concepts Bruce was teaching up in Portland at the time in the 60s, well, that's where our Grandmaster was training, and he had his school at the time. And so a lot of the concepts that Bruce Lee talked about, you know, the formlessness, the empty your cup, you know, all that stuff, was very similar. It was all getting mixed in with all the martial artists at that time. And it was just really cool. And so doing a documentary on our art, that would be really cool. Yeah. And that's something we want to do. I do filmmaking, like kind of part-time.
He made a feature film.
Yeah, dude. What's going on with that?
So I've got other projects that I'm trying to get off the ground. The biggest thing with any movie is funding. You got to find the funding to be able to hire the crew, hire the actors, hire the editors, all that stuff. So I want to do more of that. But that doing like a documentary on Wu Ying Dao would be really cool, because it's like taking my passion for filmmaking and martial arts and
putting them together,
marrying them.
Yeah, no, it completely makes sense. Yeah. And yeah, you could go visit. Have you guys ever been to Bruce Lee's gravesite?
No.
That's very cool.
Have you've been
I've
to
been
it?
there. Yeah, him and Brandon.
Yeah, they're buried together.
Yeah, they're buried together.
It's up there in Portland, or is it Washington?
Yeah,
Seattle. Well, that's right. Yeah, okay.
So I'd like to go again, but that could be something you guys touch upon, because like you said, the inspiration maybe from Bruce. It's the new Karate Kid. They talk about it. It's like different branches, one tree.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on, man.
Very cool.
Right on. Well, I think we're going to call it. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for listening, folks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Please, if you liked what you heard, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. All could be found at the Formless Pod. Our website is theformlesspod.com. We have merch. We have our pictures of our ugly mugs. Well, my ugly mug and Tyler's. All of our information can be found there. Thank you.